5 men were sucked into an underwater oil pipeline where only one would come out alive to tell the story. Viewer discretion is advised. In February of 2022, Christopher Boudrum, Faisal Kurban, Kazim Ali, Rishi Nagasar, and Yusuf Henry were working for an oil and gas company called Paria Fuel. The duties of these professional scuba divers were to do maintenance of these underwater pipelines that Paria used to get the oil off the ships and onto land where it could be processed. They would be working on an underwater pipeline called Berth 6, and it had been inactive since 2018. The job they had to do was to pull a lever inside of the pipe that would deflate a big inflatable plug that was set inside to seal it. In order to work on this pipeline, they would place what is known as a habitat above the opening. A habitat is basically a large bucket that would be placed in order to give the workers an air pocket to work in and let the divers take off their scuba equipment when inside. As soon as the lever was activated, things would go left. The lever activated, deflating the inflatable plug, causing a vortex that sucked everything into the pipe, including the men. The men were instantly shot down this narrow 1,200-foot pitch-black pipe. Holding their breaths for what might have seemed like eternity, they eventually were stopped in a small air pocket in the pipe, allowing them to breathe. The air they were breathing would also sadly be the reason they were shot down into the pipe. The high air pressure in the habitat met the air pressure from inside of the pipe, causing the vacuum. They didn't know there would be a pocket of air in the pipeline, as they were told it was filled with oil. Due to the oil in the pipeline, their eyes would be burning, and so would their throat as they all laid in the pocket of air. They were all beaten and bruised, with some even having broken bones. They were all disorientated, not knowing how far they went down the pipe, but they were all alive. The water in the pipeline began to rise. Having no other option, Christopher, along with Kazim, took it upon themselves to hold their breath and go see if there was another air pocket closer to the surface. They managed to find another air pocket, and luckily, their scuba diving equipment that was also sucked in was laying there. They used 2 bottles of oxygen to make it to another section, but Kazim's injuries were getting to him and couldn't move quickly. Christopher took what was left of the oxygen and began moving on. He made his way to the surface after being stuck in the pipeline for well over 2 hours. He was rushed to the hospital and contacted authorities to let them know there were still men down there who were alive. Divers went down there and began tapping on the pipeline to see if they would get a response back, and they did. The men stuck in the pipeline waited for hours upon hours, but no one came in the pipe to rescue them. It began getting hard to breathe the oil-filled air, but they had no choice but to wait. Hours of waiting turned into days, and the 4 men left, sadly, wouldn't make it. There are many claims as to why no one came to rescue them, but it's all speculation. Out of the 5 men who were trapped, Christopher was the only one to make it out alive.